Hi, good evening traders. Namaskar. We are today on the 9th of June 2022. This is Thursday, early evening, 13 minutes past 5 p.m. And we are looking at the daily chart of the Nifty near month futures. And clearly the index is not, should I say that the index is clearly showing interest of not coming down. The previous highs, which should ideally work as current lows, so far so good, is working out well. We thought that a close below these lows will confirm the downtrend and probably drag the index further down. But for the last three trading sessions, especially if you focus on today, yesterday and day before yesterday, every time it breached that level on an intraday basis towards the close, it's been bouncing back, and the bounce back has been particularly quite encouraging, what we saw in today's trading session. Let's take a look at this from a slightly micro level, taking a look at the 75-minute time frame. Now, the index had moved into a short-term downtrend. It is still in a short-term downtrend, but it requires a breakout above this level, and this level is close to 16,500, 550, and if we have a decent close above that, then the short-term underlying downtrend reverses on the upside, which is good news. Clearly the index today has shown clear signs that it doesn't want to fall any further, and towards the close it was a pretty decent close considering what we've been going through. What we've been going through particularly is typical choppy market environment, not very good for those who trade in the short-term time frame, the intraday time frame, because it's been particularly very choppy. So what are the levels and what can we expect? We should expect that the index, the move that it gave today, should extend further up towards 16,600. It should try and do that. However, as we had noted down very clearly, that these levels and these levels have acted in the past as good highs also. And when I talk about these levels, it's around 16,300. If we have a close below this, please take a closer look that all this while it came close to that, breached that from an intraday point of view, but continued to stay above that, which is a sign of some degree of resilience and strength. So a possible break above 16,500 towards 16,600 should be expected and anticipated from the index. However, if we get disappointed and if the index slips and closes below 16,300, we will definitely want to see a close below 16,300. We're not going to fall for it on an intraday breach below 16,300, but if it falls and closes below 16,300, then this short-term downtrend will probably open up further on the downside, or else the daily chart, which is in an uptrend, as we can see here, it's trying to save itself. What it's trying to save is this short-term bounce back. After the bounce back, a short-term consolidation, correction, and now probably further moves on the upside towards 16,600 from a very short-term point of view, and then maybe 16,800. But clarity comes above 16,650 on a closing basis, and then we can expect next week for some follow-through movement on the upside. So you should keep in mind 16,600, 16,300 from a short-term point of view for the Nifty. And the Bank Nifty was underperforming the Nifty by quite a bit of a margin in today's trading session, but it picked up pretty well towards the end. I particularly track and trade the Bank Nifty myself, and I could clearly see that it was trying its best to do a catch-up game with the Nifty. The Nifty was primarily, most of the time, managed to hold on to itself, but it was the Bank Nifty which did a pretty decent catch-up game. Now, similar kind of a story unfolds here also. The short-term trend, and for the short-term trend, I consider the 75-minute time frame, is still down, but it's going through a bounce back. You can see a recent bounce back which failed, now yet another bounce back, and so we will see this whether it finds some more strength tomorrow or not. The daily charts are still in an uptrend. I can see my couple of moving averages holding itself. The short-term trend is down, but from the daily point of view, it's trying to hold on to the recent bounce back and its follow-through correction. Similar kind of a view over here also. I would like to see the index stable, close above that 35,500 mark. This is somewhere here. So would like to see the index take out yesterday's high, to be precise. It's important. Today's low and yesterday's high. Yesterday's high for the Nifty near month futures there is around 35,555. So that's 3 followed by 4 5s. And today's low is around 34,735. So 34,700. 34,700, 35,500 levels for the bank Nifty will very clearly decide the immediate move. If you ask me, I have a slight bias towards the upside. I sense that the index will try its best to give us a move on the upside, and the reason I say so is I still think and feel that this uptrend, this bounce back will again try its best to extend further up. So I feel so, I think so. There is some degree of valuation play which is trickling down in the market, especially in the large cap IT space. Important, interesting stocks, we have found them at reasonable prices and we still find them now. And so I think that these kind of contrarian, bullish, contrarian, buy on a dip view and action will lead to decent support. With this, I would like to talk about Infosys and wind up today's market wrap. This is an interesting stock. We know IT, large cap IT especially, had gone through quite a fall, and quickly if we drop an info line, we can clearly see on a high to low basis a stock like Infosys has given us a 27.6%, to be precise. Let's say around close to 30% correction on an Infosys is a big deal. And post this fall, this is the first time that the stock has given us a decent bounce. Now I think I should do better by taking a look at the Infosys spot market chart rather than the futures chart, and for that I would like to bring in the volumes. Would like to see that how did volumes play out, and when I plot volumes, I generally do not like to bring in colors in them. I'd rather take a look at a 5-period average of the volumes. There you go, this looks much more cleaner. So we can see to some extent, not extremely encouraging, but to some extent there has been a slight improvement in the volumes as the stock was hovering close to that 1440, 1430, 20 zone. Since then, it has managed a short-term bounce back, and post this short-term bounce back for the last 3 to 4 sessions, this is what the stock has been doing. In fact, the stock is a decent contributor in today's bounce back from its intraday lows. We can see that very clearly. And if you zoom in close, you can see today's high is around 1481.5. Yesterday 1492, day before yesterday. Today's high is 16.95. I was taking a look at the lows, I'm sorry. So high is around today's 1517, yesterday 1520, day before yesterday 1519.85. So 1520 clearly stands as a short-term breakout level for this stock for a possible test of 1560, 1580 maybe. And this entire possibility will completely fizzle out if it breaks below today's low. Heiken-Ashi candles are also suggesting that. I'm not saying that the worst is over for Infosys and the low of 1400 is not going to come. It's too early to comment on this because after a 30% fall, this is the first time we have seen some bounce. So it won't be right to completely negate and disregard a 30% correction in an important stock, in an index important stock like Infosys. But from a very short-term point of view, if we see especially the Nifty managing to hold on to today's move and managing to move back to a short-term uptrend, then stocks like Infosys, TCS, HCL Tech from the large cap IT is likely to play a role in the next 1 to 2 trading sessions. Apart from that, the banking heavies like ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, and especially I think State Bank of India amongst the banking should play an important role. On the flip side, the caveat to this entire short-term expectation of positivity is today's low. Mind you that we've been talking about today's low, but every time we've managed to see some bit of a bounce from the intraday lows. Let's see what's in store for tomorrow's trade that will mark the end of the week as well. As I said, a little bias, a little expectancy, a little hope that the index will bounce back and maintain a close above that 16,500 mark for the week. Take care of yourselves, trade well and trade wise.